if you have cleared all the obstacle, this makes me happy. Maybe it's not just nihilism. Maybe there is something behind it. Do I really have the right answer? Existential.
Existential.
Existential. Existential. Hello, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my channel. This is gonna be my first ever talk only, express my ideas and thoughts kind of video, but the tiny mic that I got from Amazon decided to break at this time, so I'm sorry. Although this is gonna be a talk only video, the sound quality may not be amazing, but hopefully the quality makes up for it. So despite the broken mic, I just decided that I had to do this video today because, well, now that I'm older, it's very rare for anything specific or anyone specific to really affect my emotion much. But today was one of those days where I just felt emotional out of nowhere. It could be hormones. I just woke up kind of feeling pessimistic. Although I still went about my day like normal, I still try to do things, I still try to be active, but if you're like me, sometimes you just experience this inexplicable sadness about life, about the world, about the universe in general. You can't help it. And after I went through how I felt today, I realized how much I've improved and how much more in control that I am of this kind of emotion compared to when I was younger. I just thought this might be the opportunity for me to share a little bit about how I've learned to deal with this over the years. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to help someone who's similar to me. Maybe I'll be able to connect with you a little bit through this fascinating web called the internet. Anyway, to start with, if you know me in real life, say if you're a friend, you're a date, you're a coworker, I think most people nowadays that I meet assume I'm a very lively and happy person, and I do think I'm pretty happy right now most of the time. But I would say ever since I was very, very young, I definitely always felt this sadness, and I call it inexplicable now. But I think when I was younger, I always tried to find the reason for the sadness behind it. I grew up in China in a very, very traditional Chinese family where, well, people in that family are not very emotionally mature. And of course, mental health does not mean anything in a family like that. I thought maybe that could be a reason. I also, when I was younger, thought it might just be my personality because of how extremely intuitive I am. It's really hard for me to find people who understand me. And I've also thought about maybe it's because me living in the US as an outsider, I came to the US when I was 14, so that was a very drastic change for my life. Well, as a teenager, you're experiencing for the first time where how you look is not the mainstream of that society, and I thought that was part of the reason. Then when I got older, I went to a school for 2 years where I hated it. I hated the school, I hated the environment. That definitely created a lot of sadness in my life. And then also just with other people in general, friends, love, other people cannot really meet the unrealistic expectations that I had. So I've always tried to explain my sadness with those reasons. But over the years, I really have gotten over all of that. I'm financially independent. I've cut ties with families that are toxic. I don't rely on anyone for my happiness anymore. And beyond the reasons behind the sadness, I've always liked mysticism. I've always liked psychology. I've learned a lot about MBTI, the 9-type personality, and I also recently got into astrology. And all of that for me, ultimately, it's a way for me to understand who I am, what is the purpose for me being in this world, what is my position in this world, the meaning behind everything, how I can explain the world. Anyway, I'm just trying to say that I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of explorations over the years. At the age of 27, I can very confidently say that I have a very happy, very calming life. I understand myself pretty well. But again, as I said, just like today, I still sometimes feel this sadness about life, even though I'm not really puzzled anymore. I'm sure like all those elements from the past have affected me, caused a lot of emotions in my life. But even after removing all that, this sadness is still part of me. I don't think it's gonna go away. So I just wanted to share with the world how I deal with it, how I live with it, and how I enjoy it. First, I think the most important part of learning to live with your emotions is to really accept it as part of you. If you know anything about Thich Nhat Hanh and conscious breathing, I've always loved a quote of his. He said, emotions are like clouds, they come and they go. So I think a good way to think about your good or bad emotions is they're all unique clouds that flow around, but you are the sky, and one cloud really does not define you. And of course, if there's a reason for your sadness in life, do something about that reason. You know, if there's someone, if there's something specific, make it better, because that would really help you. But what I'm talking about right now is after you've solved all your problems, after you've gotten out of all that, you'll see that sadness is part of your soul, it's part of who you are. And I think if you do have this inexplicable sadness, that means you're someone who's really intuitive about the world, about the universe, about some sort of higher beings. And that really is part of your talent. You should cherish it, you should use it, you should be happy that it's part of you, because that makes you really special. I would say learn to understand yourself better. That is something that I've always been good at. And people have always told me that I'm someone that really knows what I want. I think that's something that I could help other people as well. So I'm gonna do a video on that. But anyway, moving on. My second way of dealing with sadness, really be aware of your physical side. I know it's almost common sense that oh, you exercise more, you'll feel better. But at the same time, I think for someone who is highly intuitive, it's easy to not even notice the physical signs.
Hello, I'm editing right now and I'll just be adding in some explanations from time to time with my new mic here, so a little better audio. A very simple example that I could give is, for example, when I'm video editing, sometimes I'm on the treadmill, so I'm walking while editing videos, and it's almost hard for me to notice when I'm tired. Sometimes I'll be on the treadmill for 2-3 hours. I have no idea how tired I am until I finish editing, I get up the treadmill, and I could not feel my leg because I don't know what's my physical limit unless I'm really consciously paying attention to it.
How your body is affected by your state. If you're familiar with MBTI, it's like if you're highly intuitive, maybe you're less developed in your SE and SI. So that's why I said not just be physical, but more importantly, be aware of the physical side. I've watched a video, I forgot if it was a neurologist or a psychologist, and he said sleep really helps if you have unhappiness in life. And that's very true for me. If I feel too much sadness, I get really sleepy. If I don't get enough sleep, it's easy for me to go into a more pessimistic state. Also, of course, common sense, exercise more, get out of the house, they really do help a little. The third way that really helps me is Stoicism. Do what you can, control what you can, get moving, be the fate of your own master. Be the master of your fate. So Stoicism really helped me. When I said I was in a school that I hated for 2 years, I felt that I was stuck. I felt that my life has no hope. I felt that whatever vision that I had for the future, it did not look great. I hated every single thing around me. I hated what I was doing and studying at the time. Sometimes there are horrible people. It just felt like the whole world had so many bad things that I could not control, and it brought me so much sadness. And trying to practice the Stoic beliefs really helped me at the time, reminding myself to just focus on what I could control, focus on my own emotions, focus on what were the small things that I could do. And I gotta say again, the environment was a huge source of sadness for me. After I got out, my life has gotten way, 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 way better. So if there is a reason for your sadness, again, try to change that. Try to get yourself out. That will really help. But when we're talking about inexplicable sadness, even in my life right now, I still try to practice Stoicism because there are highs and lows in life. Even after you've removed all the negative aspects which caused your sadness, you're still gonna have low days where you feel like things are not moving, you feel like things are not going great. And on days like that, Stoicism really helps. For example, for me, yesterday and today, nothing happened. It's just life. But somehow I just feel a little sad. So I focused on what I could do. Even though I still had the emotions with me, I kind of forced myself to get moving. Doing all the small things that were on my list, doing video editing, I cleaned my apartment, I ran some errands. Earlier today, I definitely had doubts that where do I get the qualifications to tell other people how to live their life? Do I really have the right answer? I'm still searching, but I just nudged myself a little bit. It's not about teaching, it's not about telling people what to do. It's really more about sharing my thoughts, sharing my experiences, what I've done and what I've learned so far in my life. And of course, life is always going to be ever changing, but I'm just doing what I can right now. Now, the one biggest mindset that has helped me in becoming a happier person in general is being able to not get too fixated on fatalism. I think because of when a person is super intuitive, you feel that connection with some sort of higher being. I've never been religious, but I've always loved reading or watching stories where you could see fate or destiny in it. Well, I think I still do till this day. I still believe in destiny. I still believe in fate. I still love the concept of determined and meant to be. I think being spiritual and being able to believe in that brings a sort of comfort for someone who's always searching for meaning. Because for me, it made me feel like everything has a direction. It made me feel like maybe it's not just nihilism. Maybe there is something behind it. But at the same time, if you get too much into the mindset where everything is determined, you kind of put yourself in a position, it feels like you're not in control of your fate because everything is planned out and predetermined. For example, I finished watching the Enron documentary today, the Smartest Person in the Room documentary, where, if you know the story, Lu Pai, who was an executive high up at Enron, he was able to cash out pretty early, and it seemed like he had lived a pretty good life, definitely a very wealthy one. After watching that today, it made me realize how much I've changed in my mindset, because when I really, really believed in a higher power or a determined fate,
what I truly believed in actually was thinking that there's a balance and a sense of fairness in life where I'm relying on a higher power, thinking that all the pain, hardship, all the struggles that I've been through, there is a higher power that sees everything. And well, there must be a reason for all that. There must be a balance in life that I will be rewarded in something more later.
Whenever I see stories like that, that sense of unfairness really strikes me. As in, I like to see good people being rewarded at the end. I liked to see justice being served, but that's not how the world always works. The world really is pretty unfair. And the last time that I really had an
Existential.
existential. And the last time that I really had an existential crisis was because I believed in this fairness in destiny and fate too much. I went through a really painful experience because of my family.
And it completely broke my belief in the whole ideology of fairness and balance and reward, because I just thought how sad and empty life is if you're going through this pendulum between happiness and pain, and if you just have to keep going through more and more painful experiences in life just to get a bigger reward. How boring and how sad is that game? And I didn't want to play it anymore.
And I looked into all the unfairness in the world, all the people that went through so much in their life,
going through all the pain and hardship while never being rewarded.
I read the story of Aileen Wuornos.
If you didn't know, she was a serial killer who went through a very, very, very hard life. And for her last meal, she asked for a single cup of black coffee. And it just made me think, I get emotional even just thinking about her story, because just imagine how painful and how devastating her life must have been, that you only want a single cup of black coffee at the end of your life. And for all she's been through, she's never been rewarded. It's a tragedy from the start to the end.
You really don't see the fairness or the sense of justice in life. And it brought me a huge sense of powerlessness, because then what is the point of all of this? That might be a topic for another video as well, about what has helped me getting out of that mindset. But anyhow, today, after I finished the documentary, I realized I wasn't really focused on the whole Lupai situation. I was more focused on Cliff Baxter. If you don't know, he committed suicide.
And he left a suicide note where he said, "I have always tried to do the right thing, but where there was once great pride, now it's gone."
And I realized that after watching that, it actually made my current belief stronger, that the world is a simulation and your life is a game. It is unfair, but your job in this lifetime is to understand what are your strengths, what is the role that you're given, and to play it as well as you can.
You should really understand your own values. What is it that your soul truly desires? And to follow through with it and focus on doing that instead of assimilating into the bad part of the human world. And you could see from his note, if you don't live your life based on your own values and your own beliefs, it brings a lot of struggles and regret towards the end of one's life.
Again, it's Stoicism. If you know the book Meditations by Aurelius, there's a part where he was trying to motivate himself, saying every being in the world, the bird, the worms, everything has a role to play in this world. And for him, he cannot be lazy because there are things that he has to do in this lifetime. I personally really agree with that. It motivates me a lot. And since you're born as a human in this world, in this lifetime, that means maybe it's just not our job to truly understand the meaning behind life, the meaning behind everything. And I know it's fascinating, and that's all I think about as well. But, well, I just started reading the third book in Dante's The Divine Comedy, which is The Paradise or Paradiso. And there was a quote that I really liked. I'm gonna read it. The quote says, "You don't have to be surprised about your ascendant into heaven, basically. This is just like a river falling from the top of the mountain. If you have cleared all the obstacle and you're still in the human world, that's when you will see the miracle appear." So that's kind of how I think about trying to see, is there anything behind the emptiness? I think that might not be our job as humans. Of course, I'm still here talking about all these topics, but I think by the point that you really figure out what is the true meaning and what really is behind all that, you will no longer be a human. You will be able to go somewhere better and higher. So just focusing on what you can do in this life, what were given to you, and play your role well, that has really helped me be able to not get affected by that sort of inexplicable feeling or sadness. Also, the fifth, very cheesy, but you need to find your passion. After you've done all the previous four, those are the prerequisite. But then you need to be doing something that makes you passionate, that makes you feel like your life is worth living, that you feel like you're using your strength in order to actually feel alive. That's what I did today. I already understood all the other four, but I feel emotional. So I went out for a little walk. During the walk, I was thinking about this video the whole time. And this is what makes me passionate, just thinking about things like this and thinking about the possibility of talking about this, sharing these ideas with other people. This makes me happy. And so by the time that I got home from my walk, I'm already completely fine and out of my emotions. One thing that I really do want to point out is I'm sharing my experience, right? So it really applies to me and maybe people who are similar to me. But if you're someone who is completely different, it's normal that this does not work for you, and that's okay. Just find something that makes sense and works for you. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.